Howdy, folks. I'm a silly house sparrow, sassily strutting past somber scarecrows.
I'm Amber.
Why are we strutting past somber scarecrows? This seems like we're mocking them, Amber. Why are we mocking the scarecrows?
You're just being silly.
Oh, I'm being silly. They're somber, and we're like, ha 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 ha. We're going to be silly. The scarecrows are...
Well, they're scarecrows. They're inanimate. These aren't the scarecrows Walk at Midnight from Goosebumps.
They are, and I know they are, because I am a very silly sparrow, and I've watched them many a times. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, My Ex Wants to Share Our Home Sale Profits with the Mistress. My ex is a 33-year-old male, and I'm a female who's 33. And we separated 5 years ago, and now co-parent our 2 kids, male 12 and male 8. We were together for 12 years, since high school. We recently decided to sell our home to eliminate our last financial tie. To give a little backstory, we purchased the home when we were together, in an area far from his work, so I can go to school while he stayed behind in my parents' home for work, which was closer to his job, and he would be able to commute to see the kids and I every single weekend. The first few months were hard to say the least, but we got through them, and my first semester back in college. By my third semester, when I started taking my main classes for my major, very time consuming for studying, he started acting distant until the day that he said that he no longer wanted to be in a relationship with me. I of course wanted to work on us and fix the relationship and try to remind him of our 5-year plan to finish school so he can then transfer over with us. He flat out refused, and I reluctantly agreed to give him some space and thought that maybe he just needed some time to see what we were worth fighting for. A little less than a month later, not only do I find out that he's in a new relationship, but he started this new relationship with a manager of one of the stores that he would go to work at 5 months prior to us breaking up. To throw more salt on the wound, she not only knew of his relationship status, but would later go on to harass me with messages taunting me that she was able to take him away, and maybe of his cruel words to me. Their romance lasted a few months, but not without a surprise affair baby. I decided for my mental health to ignore and not entertain any form of negativity and harassment from either party. I focused on my kids and finishing my studies. Fast forward to the future, and I have since graduated and I'm working as an RN, and we still co-parent as we were able to focus on the kids' happiness and their well-being. And I have even let him bring his daughter to my home to meet my sons and spend time with my ex, since he cannot take her to my parents' home. At the end of the day, I told him that it's his home as well, and I know how much he misses out on her life. I have made it clear to my ex that I do not want to get involved in any parental capacity because I'm not her parent or wish to have that kind of relationship with his daughter or have a close relationship with her or her mother. I will be civil because at the end of the day, he shares the kids and my kids will be part of their dad's life, as would she. My boys were happy to meet their sister. A few concerns were raised by my oldest since he did not know of his father's affair and welcomed her to our home. Fast forward to the future, we recently just went into escrow and are going to have good profits from the sale. Well, today he threw a bombshell at me when he asked if he could share the profits with the mother of the child to help her out because she's a single mother of 3. Not only was I in shock by the news, but the audacity to ask me to share the profits of a place that was my home with my kids and a place that I envisioned our life together. And to share with a person who helped destroy that dream and taunted my inbox with messages for months. I outright said no, and he got upset and said that it's for his daughter and that she has every right to that money. I tried to reason with him and explain how hurtful and insensitive his request is, but he refused to see it. I asked him to talk to some neutral parties to get a perspective, and he flat out refused and couldn't look me in the eye to say why. So I told him that I would come to Reddit and ask, am I the jerk? I can tell you exactly why he wouldn't look you in the eye and why he refused to consult a neutral party about this, because his take here is completely unreasonable.
Well, it is on so many levels. Like, if he wants that kid taken care of, he can take some of his part of the sale. Like, this whole logic is messed up. He's like, well, my kid needs a bit. Okay, well, what about OP's kids? Like, let's,
Yeah.
divide it up. So OP's majority parent for the other kids. So they all get their cut. That would give him even less money. Like, there's no way in which this logic makes sense.
We're gonna split it by 6 ways now. I don't know. This is ridiculous. It is absolutely absurd. I think that OP, you do not have to share the profits of this house that was a marital asset
Yeah.
with a mistress. This is absolutely ridiculous. Your husband, if he thinks he's just trying to pull one over you, right?
Well, and the thing is, like, OP has handled this with impeccable grace. She's even willing to, like, let the child be part of her children's life, letting them visit at her house. And it seems like her husband X feels like because she's willing to be a bigger person.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there's anything wrong with not welcoming the affair child into your home, but because she's being so generous, I can just take and take and take from OP.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you give an inch and he takes a mile, and he's trying to take additional third of the house sale because he thinks that he can get away with it. So this isn't about the mistress.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to make a guess, this has nothing to do with the mistress and everything to do with him wanting extra money out of this house.
Yeah, because I doubt he would give her any portion. He would take this is for the daughter, so I'll hold on to the money for her.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how it's going to go, right? Like, he's going to take the money, he's going to have 2/3 of the house sale, he's going to use that money for the daughter, and that's that.
Well, it seems like he's not the one who's actually raising any of the kids majority time.
Yeah, but let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Brit316 says he can share his portion of the profits with his daughter. And Foolish 5678 says, not the jerk exactly. He is welcome to give her whatever he wants from his portion. Why do you have to pay her for having intimate time with your husband? And Happy70RN says, typical cheater mentality. OP is so not the jerk. The ex is delusional. And ProbDying82 says, do not share any of yours with him. He gets half, and that's the end of it. And Bendy Biznatch says, if he's been paying the mortgage the whole time, with OP, he gets half. Who gets what should be determined by the proportion of what they put in, including updates and big repairs. Then he can support his child financially like a big boy out of his money. This dude may not have much, but he's got the audacity. So I just actually want to kind of touch on this. Even if he was paying the mortgage, this is still a marital asset, right? This is part of being in a marriage, right? You have shared marital assets, and those get divided in a certain way when you get divorced, because in the eyes of the law, each partner contributes to the household's well-being, and that's why you divide assets like that. So I don't know if it even matters if he's paid more on the mortgage or anything like that.
Yeah, it may not matter from a lawyer's perspective. I think what they're getting at is, like, because OP was the one living there and May has been doing work to it since the divorce, that, like, maybe OP has a greater claim, but, like, I don't know that whether a court will listen to that or not.
Yeah. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not sharing my free meal with my anti-Instagram boyfriend? I post my food pics from where I go out to eat on Instagram. It's just for fun. I spend like 30 minutes a week on it tops. My boyfriend is a very sweet guy in many ways, but one thing that I'm not so much of a fan of is that he often hops on the bandwagon of hating on innocent things. Not just not liking something, but making sure everyone knows that he doesn't like it, even if nobody asked. I can't help but notice a theme. Pumpkin spice lattes, pouty selfies, Taylor Swift, etc. As you can guess, he's not a fan of the food pics and thinks that it's very annoying and cringe. He doesn't even follow my Insta, even though he has an account. Even though I don't have many followers, I have started to get occasional offers and invitations from restaurants in my city to try their food for free in exchange for a review. Nothing crazy, no steak dinner so far, but I've gotten a few sandwiches and several baked goods. Well, I just hit the big leagues and got invited to a new restaurant opening that includes a free appetizer and entree for me and one guest. I immediately invited one of my Instagram friends who I've gone out to eat with on several occasions and who also enjoys taking food photos. I told my boyfriend, and he's mad that I'm not taking him and says that I'm doing it out of spite. I really think that I'm not. If the restaurant is giving me free food in exchange for a post, I'm going to put more effort into the post and spend a few extra minutes making sure that I actually get good shots. And I'd rather do it with someone who isn't going to sigh and roll their eyes through the whole thing. Also, I think that it's pretty audacious of him to be actively unsupportive of an activity that hurts no one, but then expects to benefit when it's actually successful. Alright, folks, what do you think of this one?
Not the jerk. And I think Opie hit the nail on the head there with this bit. Like,
Yeah.
here he is, making fun of Opie, essentially, mocking her for, taking her pictures and whatnot. And then when it could benefit him, why didn't you share this with me?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I know Opie says he's great in many respects, but if your partner doesn't support your hobbies and, like, mocks you for them, that's not a sign of a good partner.
Yeah, I think that part of a relationship, a healthy relationship, is taking interest in things that might not necessarily interest you just because your partner likes them, right?
Right, or at least not actively tearing them down. Like, you don't
Right.
have to love everything your partner does.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to do a playful ribbing every now and again, but it sounds like this is not meant to just be playful. He legitimately has to declare to the entire world that taking food pics is so boring and childish or whatever.
Yeah, well, and everyone's going to have their preferences, and maybe if it wasn't every single thing, it seems like he just really likes to dump on anything that OP does and takes interest in.
Or anything that's popular among young women.
Yeah. So, like, it would be one thing if it was just like the occasional, oh, I have my complaints about certain things, like, oh, I find it problematic for X, Y, or Z, right? But it sounds like he goes out of his way to make sure that everyone knows this too, right? That's at least the impression that I get from OP's.
Right, well, and he won't even follow her on Instagram because she posts that kind of content. Like,
Yeah.
come on, dude. It would not hurt you to follow a food account.
Yeah, I think the guy just needs to get over himself. Really, plain and simple. If he really wants to take part in OP's, hobby here, then he needs to actually be supportive of her, and he can't be entitled like this and expect everyone to just suddenly, benefit him just because he exists.
Yeah, well, and it is not a sign of strong masculinity to denigrate everything feminine. Because, like, if you look at these things like pumpkin spice lattes and food pics and stuff, these are things primarily enjoyed by young women.
Yeah.
And we as a society have a lot of animosity towards things that make young women happy. And it's just, he's trying to, like, show how manly he is, but it's not a good look. It's
No,
not.
it really isn't. So, if you have to tear down your partner to make yourself feel better about yourself, then maybe you have a lot of self-reflection and evaluation to do. Not just your partner, but anybody, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Afraid Cellist 3 says, info, is your boyfriend the one bankrolling this hobby? Do you work, or are you hoping that this one day will turn into an actual source of income? Do you contribute equally to the household budget? And OP replies, we don't live together and I handle my own bills. I have a full-time job as a compliance and operational risk analyst, and I don't need him to pay my way for anything. I think that is all we need to hear from that. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
What appetizer might the struggling student order?
Well, I can tell you exactly what appetizer the struggling student would order, because there's only one thing that struggling students order, and that's pizza. Because one pizza can go a long way. And you might be like, well, Brian, how is pizza an appetizer? And I would say, well, it is. And that's just how it is.
We're talking about struggling academically, not financially.
Oh, struggling academically. All students are struggling financially and academically. So I think that it just is the state of being.
Cram chowder.
Oh, cram chowder? That makes sense.
And there's a nice little picture to go with it.
I guess that's what Amber made.
Yeah, I used a couple images in Canva, cobbled them together.
And I have Mega Mint. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday! Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it involve a really entitled request.
If your ex tries to make you split your profit from your house with their affair partner, just say no.
Yes. Yes. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.